Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Growth Execution Podcast. We are here to help you to build, grow, launch your businesses. I'm delighted to be joined this week by Rose Davidson. Hi, Rose. How are you?
I'm very well, Mel. Yourself?
Really well, thanks. Very well indeed. I wondered if you could start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what your business is involved in.
Okay, my business is called rosedavidson.com. I'm based in Australia, and I offer services to speakers, coaches, consultants and small business owners with PowerPoint presentations and promotional videos.
Fantastic.
And offer them end-to-end packages as well, so that they can, get their events online, because, with 2020 the way it was and 2021 here in Australia is still not great.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are a bit challenged with getting their offline events online. So I help them with that.
Fantastic, and we'll talk about that in depth in a sec. I wondered though about how you came to to launch your business. What was it that kind of spurred you on to think that this was something that you wanted to undertake?
Well, back in 2015, I got tired of being working for somebody else. I'd been in the administration industry for like 35 years, and I thought, and it's time to work for me now. Mm-hmm. So I launched a business called Does Biz, and I was just offering my admin services to female entrepreneurs at the time. But after 35 years and about 4 years of having that business, it wasn't lighting me up anymore. I was just sick of doing admin work. So I love being creative, and PowerPoints, I love making them. I think they're just so much fun. And then I discovered making videos, and they were even more fun. So, so I combined the two and changed the focus of my business and changed the name to my own name, so that if I pivot again, then I don't have to change anything else. And relaunched myself. Relaunched myself as rosedavidson.com.
Fantastic. And a lot of people listening to this are going to be thinking about, perhaps they've been in furlough. You mentioned 2020, but we've been in furlough for the last year or so, or maybe they've been redundant, sadly, but perhaps thinking about a different way forward. You've obviously taken that leap and grasped that. And what would you say are kind of the lessons that you learned most when you did make that move out of working for other people to working for yourself?
Yeah, it was a hard decision. I must say my family didn't support it very much, because there was it's a big leap of faith in yourself to work for yourself, and I went without any money, which was not a very clever idea. So I had to start with no money, and just the skills that I had to do the work for others, or to teach others how to do what I knew how to do. So I would advise people, firstly, don't leave your job until you've got some sort of a following. But for those that have been made redundant, which is an unfortunate fact during these very trying times, I think use the skills that you have, and you can make a business out of almost anything. I mean, kids have been making fruit juice and lemonade for such a very long time, and some have made millions of dollars out of it. So if they can do it, I'm sure other people can. It just takes courage.
Yeah, I think that's really, really wise. I think that it's that leap, isn't it? And as you say, some people won't necessarily have the option of kind of having some financial backing, but you've gone out there, you've kind of made it work, and I know a bunch of other entrepreneurs have done that as well. I think that it's more about the sort of, like you say, the courage, the underpinning of confidence that you've got something that's real, that's tangible, that you can sell, that you can offer the market.
Absolutely, everyone has something that they can offer. If you're a salesman, go and offer your services to another business who isn't so good at sales, or if you're good at marketing, or if you're good at digital marketing, or any of those services, you can always go and find work somewhere. Someone's always looking for something somewhere. Become a virtual assistant. It's people are always looking for virtual assistants these days, because they can't go to the office, so they're looking for people to do it remotely. Offer your services. If you've got a really good skill, in that way, then, get out there. It's scary. Trust me, it is really scary. But, if you don't take that leap, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
And for those that do manual things, retrain. If you're not tech savvy, learn. It's not hard.
Yeah, and I think as
It's
well,
just,
but one of the things that I talk about a lot, and I think you're absolutely on, is this online, right? So everybody's online now. There's a lot of remoteness, and it's almost like now there is no better time to have the opportunity to pitch yourself to the world. All right, you can have a conversation like this, and it's out there. And I think that is something that people can really start to embrace once they get past this kind of perhaps the uncertainty and perhaps the fear side of things.
yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the people our generation are too frightened of the internet. Well, it's not that scary, really. I know people that are in their 70s and 80s are learning how to use the internet now because they've had to. They can't, visit their families. They can't visit their children or their grandchildren, and so they've had to learn how to use a smartphone or a smart device of some type or a computer. So if they can do it, I'm sure anyone can. It's just a matter of mindset, and mindset really is pivotal in how you deliver yourself. You have to have a very strong mindset.
Couldn't agree more. And I think really it's about sort of almost throwing yourself forwards and kind of visualizing where you want to get to. And I think that's a really critical piece. And sometimes it's quite hard, particularly if you've had a kind of seismic shock in your life, and perhaps 2020 and early part of 2021 has delivered that for some of the listeners. What kind of skills do you think are really important in resetting and building that level of confidence and starting to deliver that courage?
I think it varies on the person. To me, I'm quite confident. I've got my own podcast, and that only started last year through me seeing other business owners, challenged with, losing their jobs and not finding their way in the world. And I thought, well, if I could reach out to other business owners who could offer their help and advice, and the podcast is doing quite well, because people are, wanting that little bit of information on how they can, get themselves online and, how they can better their businesses. And I've had people like lawyers and, all sorts of people. So it's been really helpful to business owners to know, I guess, what skills they need and how they can move forward. But I guess skill-wise, it's hard. It just depends on the person, I think, and what they're capable of. And some people are good at some things, and some people are good at others. And I guess it's horses for courses.
There's pretty much something for everybody if you just got, as you say, that mindset and that willingness to kind of put yourself out there. If you were thinking now about when you launched your business back then, what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give yourself?
Have money in the bank first, and don't look at all the shiny objects. I had to have a website first, and I had to have all the business cards, and I had to have, all the things set up. They not necessary. What is necessary is getting your little ducks in a row first. Make sure your marketing is spot on, and if Facebook is, a really good place to market your business, and you can actually market your business for free. You don't actually need to pay for ads. You don't need to pay for Google ads. Just get onto Google My Business, and you can promote yourself on there. I mean, I don't know if they've got that anywhere else, but I know they've got it in Australia. So, for anyone that's in Australia, get on Google My Business, either set up a website, which is absolutely free, or you can just post articles about what you know. And, people will, if you're consistent, people will take notice of you, and you'll rank, with the algorithms and make sure you use the SEO, because that's really important. And, and the website and the business cards, they can come later. I mean, they're not important. So that would be my words to myself. Don't look at the shiny things, just look at the important things.
Fantastic. That's such good advice, because I think there is, when you are starting out, there's so many options, right? And like you say, you're kind of like in a shop, and you've got like all these different things to look at and to try and choose, and it's just like, wow. But you can spend a lot of money on things that you just never use.
yeah, that's what I did. I bought apps, and I bought, programs and all sorts of other things. And, what I should have done was actually pay for self-improvement. I should have paid to do some online courses. I didn't do that. I'm
Brilliant.
starting to do that now, but yeah, I should have done that in the beginning to learn how to market myself. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it was really easy, but it's not as easy as you think,
And
unless you're a
what
really good
makes
salesperson.
yeah what makes it so difficult? Do you think it's just the sheer volume of things out there?
I think because the internet's so busy now, getting that no like trust thing, unless you're doing, you're posting every single day, and you really need to, and your message has to be very, very clear to whatever audience you're trying to attract. But yeah, I mean, back in 2015, it wasn't such a hard thing, but I didn't write my copy well. I wasn't consistent either with my messaging or my marketing. So, I'd be all in, 1 month, and the next month, I'd do nothing. So my name just wasn't getting out there, and that's just not the good enough behavior. You've got to be consistent every week, every day even.
I think that's such good
Otherwise
advice.
people aren't going to see you.
Yeah, and I think you're right. People, I often talk about people buy trust, right? So they've got to believe that you are who you say you are, and that you have that consistency and that commitment to your cause. And you're right. If people do see you doing all the work for a month, 2 months, and then you disappear for a month, then even when you come back, they're a little bit less trusting, aren't they?
Absolutely. And recently I've taken on board some other activities, and and the people coming out of my friends list that, I mean, I've got over 1,000 friends in my personal profile, have, congratulated me on these new ventures that I'm undertaking. And, honestly, so they have been watching me for a while, which I hadn't known about. So, be careful, and too, about what you post on your personal profile is really important too, because you are your brand. And so if you, constantly posting inappropriate things on your personal profile, people will take notice. Trust me,
Yeah.
they will.
I think that's so important as well, because again, we're so connected, and people almost think that you can kind of you can separate out, right, this is my personal Facebook and this is my business Facebook, and they'll never cross, and that's absolutely not true, isn't it?
Unfortunately, they do cross, and a lot of times you'll find your ideal customer on your personal profile and not on your business Facebook page. So yeah, just try and keep your personal profile, unless you lock it right down,
If you do
which
want to
is
say anything
absolutely
controversial.
which is absolutely pointless anyway, because it's a social platform. So, but another good platform I found is LinkedIn.
Okay.
I've only just started using that this year. I've had an account for a fair while,
Mhm.
and I didn't like it a lot, but I have found that in the last 12 months or so, they have really picked up their game a lot. And it the algorithms and everything have changed in there, and it's much easier to use now than it used to be. It used to be really hard before, but yeah, so LinkedIn is quite a good place, especially if you're looking for your ideal client,
Yeah, I was going to say,
and you
what is it
know
that
that
you're
that's
doing
where
on
they
there?
are.
What is it that you're doing on
Sorry?
there? What is it that you're doing on there, or how are you approaching it?
Well, I'm doing my podcast, so I'm putting out my podcast on there.
Mhm.
So I do the short once a week, and then I put the full episode on there. So that's for one side of my business, and for the other side, I'm just putting out there, what offerings I have at the moment, maybe some hints and tips on what I do. Don't post that quite so often. I don't use LinkedIn as much because I tend to forget it, because I'm mainly on Facebook,
Yeah.
but it doesn't hurt to be out on LinkedIn at least twice a week.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. I think you've said Facebook, obviously LinkedIn. Are there any other ways that you think are really good for getting potential leads through, or prospecting for business?
I'm not a big fan of many of the others. People use Twitter and they use MeWe and they use Instagram, but I don't use Instagram so much for my business page. I use it mainly for the not-for-profits that I run. So, yeah, I've got fingers in everything.
You have, and you've written, you've been part of a book as well, I see, which is a best-selling book.
Yes.
Congratulations on that as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'm about to write my own, actually, write my own book. So, and I'm actually speaking twice three times in the next 3 weeks. So, like in international forums. So,
wow.
it's really scary because I've not done it before.
This is one of those things that, you put yourself out there, right? You talked about courage earlier on. You're just going to, these are the things you put yourself in for, and then, just make it happen.
You've got to get out of your comfort zone. It's if you don't do that, you're just going to stagnate for the rest of your life. And, I'm 61 years old, and, I've always been a bit of an out there sort of a person, but this year I decided that, there's 4 things I want to achieve this year, and I'm determined to achieve them.
Brilliant. Would you like to share those with us? And you don't have to.
No,
I'm very interested.
I plan on writing and publishing my book, which is it's my personal journey through childhood sexual abuse. So how I became from a survivor to a thriver. The other one is I'm really passionate about the prevention of family and domestic violence. I'm a president of an awareness initiative here in Australia, and we run free pamper days for survivors, and so I'm really passionate about that. So I want to get on stage and talk about that as well. I want to talk about the sexual abuse as well. So that's 2 causes. I'm an advocate for mental health as well, because I, through my experiences, have unfortunately got mental illness, through what I've been through. And what was the 4th thing? Oh yeah, my podcast was going to be in the top 100 in Australia.
Excellent. Looking forward to seeing that as well. And I wonder, obviously the journey that you've been on is very obviously distressing in places, I'm sure, and but you are here and you've got through it, and you are, in many ways, and I'm sure that's what the speaking engagements are about. You're kind of somebody that others can look up to. What do you think made you able to deal with all of this and gave you that kind of inner strength? Is it something that you just think's innate, or is it something that people can build?
I think it's a little bit of both. I was always a stubborn child. I know that much. I was always very competitive. Whether that was because of the way I was brought up, I'm not really sure. But I just like to do my best. I like to open my heart to others. It's just something which is unusual for someone in my circumstance, but that's just it's just me. And I think my tenacity just comes from wanting to be the best version of myself that I can be.
It's brilliant advice and brilliant kind of guidance for others coming into entrepreneurship and throughout their lives.
Absolutely.
Do you think that do you think it's something, so again, thinking from a listener's perspective, somebody who perhaps is just about to start out, what do you think is the key attribute that they're going to need as they build and grow into their business?
The attribute, I guess, you need to trust yourself. You need to trust that you're making the right decision. Don't second guess. If you feel in your heart that is absolutely what you want to do, then just go for it. I mean, there's no such thing as failure. Failures are only lessons. And, and if you don't learn from your lessons, then, you'll just keep going and making the same mistakes. But mistakes are lessons, failures are lessons. And so you can never fail and you can never make a mistake.
Oh, I love that. I really do. It's so important that the people, because failure is or can be seen as something that's so detrimental to your future and so on. But like you, I just think it's another stage on that journey, right?
It absolutely is. I mean, don't ever let anyone tell you that you failed at something, because you haven't. You've learnt a lesson. So if you can do that, then it makes you a better person and it makes you stronger, and it makes you just want to, show them that you can do something. So just get off your butt and go and do it and try again.
Love that. Get off your butt and go and do it. That's so strong advice and really important. Everybody out there, just do that. I wonder if I can fire just a very quick few more questions. And thank you again so much for your time. Do you have an inspiration? And if so, who is it?
I don't really. I've never really found anybody that's really inspired me. I think, no, I can't really. I mean, I've got a few people that I follow, but not really. They're not really have inspired me to be anything.
No, okay, great. And what do you think is the key to a successful business launch?
Business launch, I think, as I said, you need to trust yourself. You need to get all your ducks in a row first. So that means, having all your processes in place and don't try to learn as you go. I know you will do that. You will learn as you go, but, try and have a few solid foundations first before you start, because otherwise you'll just flounder around and the first 2 years of business is the hardest. And if you make it to the 5-year mark, then you're doing a good job. Yeah. I mean, even if you're not making a lot of money, but you still make it to the 5th year, then, well done to you, because, you haven't given up, and, just keep trying. Yeah,
we'll keep on coming. And I wonder as well, what was the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I've ever received? Well, it's nothing to do with business. Okay. My mother always told me, wear clean underwear and take a handkerchief when you go out, in case you get run over by a bus and you've got to be taken in an ambulance.
Wise words from Rose Davidson. That's brilliant. Listen, Rose, I've loved speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's very late out there, and again, truly grateful for your time with us today. That was Rose Davidson. You can get in touch with Rose. How's best to reach out to you, Rose?
They can reach me at contact@rose-davidson.com or on my website at rose-davidson.com.
Perfect. And I know you're on LinkedIn as well for people to get you there as well. So listen, thank you so much. Really, really great insights and wonderful to talk to you. That was the Growth Execution podcast for this week. Thank you once again for your time. We are back again next week with more interviews all around the kind of launch process and so on. But thank you once again. Really great to have you listening in. Have a great growth week, and look forward to seeing you.